welcome this evening. This is Dr. Brenda Roach, but you can call me Brenda because it's just much easier. And when you tune in, if you can put your name down below, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know as we go along what's helpful to you. If you find value in this, let me know. If you know some other people who could benefit from hearing what I have to talk about, please feel free to share it as well. If you're catching it by replay, just put hashtag replay down below and let me know where you're tuning in from. This is a series that's going to be going on for several more months, and it really is about taking your life back. And so if you have not caught the first 6 parts of this series, we're on the 7th part today, put down in the comment section, tag me, and I'll tag you in those first 6 so that you can get caught up. So this will make a lot more sense to you as well. And then you don't have to try and find them out there in Facebook land as well. So again, tonight we're talking about how to take your life back and really defining, your current priorities and new priorities. And so last week we talked a lot about how we spend our time and doing a time chart this last week. And so if you have not done that, again, this will make a lot more sense if you go back and do that. So again, put down below, tag me in the comment section. I'll tag you in the first several parts of this series. Also give me some loves. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Again, if you're catching it by replay, hashtag replay, so that I know where you're tuning in and I can give a shout out to you. So I appreciate you tuning in as well. I hope you're finding some value and getting some value out of this series. I know I am. It's a process that I'm working through at the same time along with all of you. So tonight we're really talking about looking at our current priorities. And so when we look at that, we look at what we did last week. And I asked you to go through and track over the week and kind of look past, the past month and look at how you're spending your time and really document that on a time chart. And so because how we spend our time really does kind of reveal what our priorities are currently. Doesn't mean that that's where we want them to be or that we're satisfied with it, but it does indicate where they are currently. And you can begin to really see what you call important by how many hours you're spending devoting to each activity. And so what I'm going to have you do tonight or over this next week is to take and look at what are the top 7 priorities that you have. So look at your total hours by category. And again, if this doesn't make sense to you because you haven't caught the first 6 parts, hashtag, put down below, tag me, and I'll get you tagged on the first 6 parts so this actually makes some sense. So using your total hours from the chart last week, list your current priorities. So beginning with the item that gets the most amount of your time and ending with the item that gets the least amount of time for your top 7 categories. Then what I want you to do is to look at each of those and ask yourself the following questions and write it down in your journal. We've been talking a lot about journaling, so this continues with that as well. So these are the 7 questions you're going to ask yourself, and I'll put these down in the comment section so you have them as well. But the first one is, am I living a balanced life? I know for me, I'm not. I'm working towards that, but I have some obligations and some other things that I'm working towards to get to a point of a much more balanced life. Each week is getting a little bit better. The question number 2, hey Mom, glad you're here. Number 2 is, what's missing from the list? So when you look at that priority list of your top 7, what are you missing? What's missing from that list? Number 3 is, if this week were your last week on earth, would you be happy with how you're spending your time? That's a big one. Are your priorities what you thought they would be? Is number 4. Number 5 is, are these the priorities that you most want? Number 6 is, how much of your time is spent caring for others? And 7, are you involved in too many activities? So again, do your top 7 priorities by looking at your time chart that you started last week. And again, if you need me to tag you in the first 6 parts of this series, put tag me down below and I can do that. So you can access those a lot easier as well. Some people really find also that they're like missing time. Like by the time they have their total hours, there's more than 168 hours, which is not possible in a week. And that can be just from estimating it wrong, or really kind of thinking you're spending more time than you are on certain tasks as well. So that's the first part that I want you to do by looking at your time chart from last week. Then I want you to move on to defining your new priorities. And this is a big part of what you're going to do. Because now that you've defined your current priorities, where you're spending your time currently, you really are ready to reevaluate that list and consciously choose new priorities based on what's really important to you for your whole life. Your connection to your why self, we talked about that several weeks ago, is really a crucial part of this planning. So really looking at that and setting aside an afternoon. Hey, Keith, glad you joined me. Setting aside an afternoon of uninterrupted time to really do this. So again, if you're just catching this and you haven't caught the first 6 parts of this series, just put tag me down below and I will tag you in those first parts so that it makes more sense to you as well. And so you really want to give yourself time to do this. If you really want to get benefit out of this and really get something, give your time. Do these exercises and give yourself time to do those. So find an afternoon where you can just have uninterrupted time. If you work from home, maybe you go to the library or go to a coffee shop someplace so that you don't have those interruptions that are kind of going on as well. Make that time sacred and make it for you. And then call upon your inner self to really help design what your new priorities are. So start by putting yourself in a really relaxed state, so doing some deep breathing and just relaxing. Hey, Mary, glad you're joining me. And so really taking those and getting yourself and really looking at what are your new priorities. And when you're ready, what you do is you have your journal there again, and you're going to open it up and using your current priority list, which is what I just talked about, those top 7 things from your time chart that you had done last week. What you want to do is you want to answer these following questions. And again, I'll put these down below in the comment section when we're done with this live. So the first one is, what's most important to you at this time in your life? So what really is most important to you? Where would you like to spend more of your time? If you could do anything at all that you wanted to without restrictions, what would it be? So throw out all those what if, shoulds, all of those kind of things. But what would you do if there was no restrictions? Are there areas that need attention, like your health, a relationship, work, financial concerns? Is there a secret dream or desire that keeps getting kind of put on that back burner that you really would like to devote more time to? And if so, what is that? And then the last one is, what needs less attention and what needs more attention? So again, I want you to put aside at least a couple hours and really actually do this and take time to look at how you're currently spending your time. What are the top 7 areas that you're spending your time on now? Figuring out that, and now looking at that, answering these questions. Write down what answers kind of come to your mind first. Give yourself permission to let yourself dream. And just run free with it. What do you want? Forget about the shoulds. Focus on the wants. What's important for your well-being? And the next area of your personal growth on this journey. Are money problems keeping you tied to a job you just don't like anymore? Make it a priority to straighten those out. And we're going to work into that next week on talking about how do we take this work that you're doing this week and how do you actually start implementing it. Would you like more fun in your life? Put it on your list. What would you like to do? Is there a project you keep putting off? Like writing a book or studying a foreign language or doing something. Write that down on your list. Don't settle for less. This is your life and you can actually take control of it if you follow through on these steps. Choose the priorities that are personally important to you and add them to the list. Consider all areas of your life. So we talked about the different areas of our life when we talked about balanced life. So that's emotional and physical health, relationships, spiritual well-being, work, service or contributions to others, fun, adventure, leisure. So you're really wanting to put all of those and look at all of those areas when you really are trying to define what your new priorities are. So again, if you're just catching this, listen to this from the very beginning. Hey, Cindy, glad you've tuned in. Go back to the beginning and listen to this. If you haven't caught the first 6 parts of this series, let me know. Tag me down below and I'll tag you in those first 6 parts because this will make a lot more sense if you watch it from the beginning. But it really is. It's looking at how are we spending our current time? How satisfied are we with what we're doing now? And how would we like our time to be? So we can set some new priorities in our life so we actually can start working towards those. And next week, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, after you've defined where you really want to go, what your new priorities are. Next week, we're going to talk about how do you get there. Because it doesn't do any good to just write things down if we don't come up with a plan and start implementing it gradually on how to get there. Some things you might be able to get there right away. Some might take a year or two to get there. But if we don't start doing it now, it's not going to happen 2 years from now, right? We're going to stay where we're at and get stuck. And so this is really a process. And so I'd encourage you to invest in yourself and really do these exercises, because they really can be very, very helpful. Again, if you're tuning in on a replay, put hashtag replay down below. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you think other people could benefit from this, please share it with other people. And again, if you need me to tag you in the previous sections of this, just tag me in the comments down below, and I will tag you in the first parts of the series as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back on next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I tune in every Thursday at this time, and we'll continue this series. If you have questions in between time or you get stuck on something, feel free to message me throughout the week, and I can answer those questions as well for you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you got some value out of this as well. And I hope you have a great evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. I will talk to you next week, and good luck on your assignment.